is actually in the rapid charger, and how does that rapid charger charge your car? My name is Janos. I've built my own electric cars, I've driven them to a rapid charger, I plugged them in, I charged them, and I live to tell the tale. So now I'm going to give you a very high level technical overview of how a rapid charging process works. And I'm going to say stuff such as isolation tests, CCS, ChaDeMo, NACS, rectification, three-phase. All right, let's get into it. I'm splitting it into three sections. It's called the hardware, the process, and the language, and I'll give you some bonus facts at the end. Let's jump into the hardware section. If you start at the grid, you need a really strong grid connection to enable 150 kilowatts of charging. If that was at 240 volts, we needed a 700 amp fuse. 240 times 700 is about 150 kilowatts. So you need a really strong grid connection. This is also AC current. Your battery needs DC current. So we need some sort of rectification that turns the AC into DC. Additionally, we need something called a power factor correction. Then we need some sort of payment gateway and a little screen for the user, well, or you or me, to put their credit card into and push the numbers and enable or disable the charging. Additionally, you want some sort of metering to remember at the end how much you actually need to charge them. There's a decision that is made here. If we rectify in the street, in the DC charger, it connects directly to your battery. There's one big plus and one big minus in the plug that connects directly to your car's battery. This is safety relevant, right? This means the column in the street, as well as the control modules in your car or the BMS in your car, they share the responsibility to make this charging a safe process, because the rapid charger goes like so deep, like directly into the innards of your car. So the responsibility of this process being shared is safe. So what needs to happen is your car needs to talk to the rapid charger an awful lot about what is safe and what isn't. And this means the battery management system in your car is going to monitor the current, the state of charge, the temperature, and the voltage of the batteries, and give all that information to the rapid charger. And together, they agree if they can keep charging or not. That's the hardware side. The process side. I already said, first you have to pay, and you have to connect the actual plug, and there's typically some very simple feedback wires that know if the plug is connected or not. Once that is the case, number two, there's an isolation test. The rapid charger will bring up the voltage to a very high level and measure, and if it's coming back from the car, well, it shouldn't be coming back. Essentially, it's testing, is the chassis live or not? And if the chassis is live, everything needs to stop immediately, because this is definitely not safe, right? If that is successful, number three is a gradual ramp up of the current and the voltage. And that then turns into a feedback loop where, as I described before, the BMS and the charger talk to each other like, okay, how warm are you? Do you want more current? Can you take more current? And that loop is executed multiple times a second until the charge finally, number four, comes to an end. That is the high level process. Right, and this brings us to the languages. ChaDeMo and CCS are languages describing this process. By the way, NACS, North American Charging Standard, and CCS, kind of the same thing. The plugs are a bit different, but the protocol is the same, right? ChaDeMo describes this feedback loop and the ramp up and the isolation process at the beginning, all of that in 1,400 lines of code. It's very nice and very tight. CCS or NACS, 35,000 lines, even though it's the same process that I've just described, so it's a lot more complicated. Yeah, both of them are open source. ChaDeMo, I'll link you the repository, and my friend Uwe reverse engineered the vehicle side for CCS as well. I'm going to post the link to his repository under the video as well. A bonus fact, the BMS doesn't redirect the charge or anything like that. The BMS is observing the current, the state of charge, the temperature, and the voltage, and it's giving all of that information to the rapid charger, and together they decide if charging can continue or not. It doesn't connect some modules and then disconnect another module or something. You've got one big plus and you've got one big minus, and that's all there is to it. It only goes into the entire battery, or it does not go into the battery. There's no balancing going on or anything like that. The whole process is being observed. It's either off or on at different levels of kilowatts, right? So that's a little fact on the side. This is a common misconception, I think. That's all there is to it, right? So rapid charging is a high power application. You need a very big fuse on the grid. On the hardware side, there's a rectification stage in the column, in the street. There's something called power factor correction, which is also happening in the street. There's a direct connection in deep into your car. That's That's why the BMS, the battery management system in your car, and the rapid charger talk to each other quite a lot. They've got a shared responsibility to keep this safe. The process is you pay and connect the plug, then there's an isolation test being carried out, then you're ramping up the current, and there's a feedback loop going on and on and on until the charge ends because you run out of money or your battery's full. And there's 2.5 different languages, which is CCS and NACS and ChaDeMo. And ChaDeMo is really nice and simple, and CCS is rather complicated. Both of them are open source from the vehicle side, and the bonus fact that I gave you was that the BMS does not redirect current around individual modules to something. Either the charge is happening or the charge is not happening. This is rapid charging in a nutshell, and I hope this helps someone.